where not everyone can be winners around here. Some people definitely have to be losers. And when you're a loser, you go into the doghouse. And for the week 6 doghouse, Drew, who you're going with. This is one of my favorite segments, so I'm curious to see where you go.
How many? I can only do one?
You could go 2. You can put however many people will fit in the doghouse, you can put in the doghouse.
Oh, I got a lot going in the doghouse.
All right, let's hear it.
I don't know how many. I have so many people to put in the doghouse. Let me just touch on a couple things that I think are going to be in the doghouse. I'm going to make it quick. The Raiders coaching staff. I don't know what the hell they're doing. Aiden, Gardner Minshew, it's all terrible, but it's the Raiders. Okay. We're expecting them to be the Raiders. Moving on from that. The Patriots coaching staff. You've spent the first 5 weeks of the season watching Jacoby Brissett get murdered behind your offensive line. And what is your idea? Let's put Drake May back there. That's great. You know what we call that? That's called the Carolina Panthers playbook on how to ruin Bryce Young. Let's ruin Drake May before he even gets fucking started because he's going to be running for his goddamn life all over the place. He took 4 sacks. Shout out to who had 3 of them. Incredible day by Will Anderson. Will Anderson is not a 3-sack-a-game guy.
Yeah.
You know who is? The offensive line for the Patriots. Terrible. Maybe they decided to put Drake May back there because he's mobile and can move around, and they just like, well, at least it won't look as bad on TV because this guy will get away from him, as opposed to Jacoby Brissett getting ran over on every play. Third thing, Dak Prescott. His 3rd red zone turnover in 2 weeks. When you go into a game against a conference contender like the Lions, and you have who? Micah Parsons not playing, D-Law not playing, and
Kendricks didn't play.
Eric Kendricks not playing.
Deron Bland not playing.
You cannot make mistakes. And Dak comes out the first drive of the game. He drives the team all the way down, and you know the Lions are going to score. I would have bet every dollar I had that they were going to put up at least 30 points against you guys because you got defensive injuries all over the place. Not a thing. I didn't put Mike Zimmer in the doghouse. I didn't put the Cowboys defense in the doghouse. Dak Prescott's in the doghouse. You cannot turn over the ball in the red zone 3 times in 2 games if you want to win in the National Football League. It's impossible. The pick was awful. And I got to be honest with you. I was texting you talking shit. It's my second favorite thing to do. And as soon as he threw that pick, I looked right to one of my guys sitting next to me. I said, it's a wrap. They're done. They're not coming back from this. He's going to go into his shell. Mike McCarthy's not going to be as aggressive on the play calling.
Yeah.
You cannot turn the ball over in the red zone. So Gerard Mayo, Antonio Pierce, and Dak Prescott, they're hanging out in my doghouse.
Man, we got a lot of coaches in there, and I think I should throw another one in. One more coach, and I'm going to throw an owner in there as well. And that's going to be Doug Peterson and Shad Khan, the beautiful people who are over there, across the pond right now in London. Quote from Doug Peterson: obviously, we've lost some games here. Some is an understatement. So we want to change that culture to a winning culture. It's insane that you're saying that you want to change the culture to a winning culture 6 weeks into the season. You know how well that's going to go? Have you ever tried changing a tire while going 60 miles an hour on the freeway? It just doesn't work. It's not going to work, and it's done. It's over for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm sure if you've watched one singular game for the Jacksonville Jaguars, you could have known that. And then let's go ahead and top it all off when the Jacksonville Jaguars, especially on defense, doesn't show any type of urgency, and then the safety, Andre Sisco, is being interviewed by one of the Jacksonville Jaguars or one of the Jacksonville television stations in the locker room. He said that the defensive players quit in the second half of the game. And then Doug Peterson comes out and says, I don't think Andre Sisco's comments were really malicious or showed a fractured locker room. Bro, what are you reading? Like,
because they were true?
Like what? Like they're definitely
you're right. They didn't fracture the locker room because what he said was actually true. Yeah, they did quit on him. We got Snapchat messages on Sunday, right? Yep. Asking you and I both our opinion because clearly with our 111 subscribers, we are fucking football gods.
Experts.
And they wanted to know what's wrong with the Jaguars. Is it the coaching or the players? And I thought it's a little bit more than that. But this team, which on paper should be more talented than this, looks like they've quit on their coaching staff.
Absolutely. And when you listen, Trevor Lawrence is not infallible this season. He's made mistakes. He's looked mediocre at times. But when you go and you look at what what the offense has done for him, the blocking schemes are bad. The running backs are non-existent outside of Tank Bigsby when he can play. Travis Etienne has looked awful this season. Evan Ingram's barely even played. Brian Thomas looks good. He had a couple of drops this last week, though. And Christian Kirk's looks awful. Like, these guys don't look good. And Trevor Lawrence is doing what he can. Again, he's not infallible, but if you're going to pay a quarterback this much money, you have to surround him as much talent as possible. And then this is why Shad Cotton is going in the doghouse as well, because then you signed Gabe Davis to this massive contract as well. I could have told you that Gabe Davis was not going to be very good, that he's a spotty type receiver and he's going to have games, but he's not great. He's a deep threat, but on the deep threats, he has a crazy amount of drops. He looks awful. His release on those deep routes is not very good. He's not getting any type of separation. I could have told you these things. But Shad Khan decides before the season even starts and says, I think this is the best team we've ever assembled in team history. It's a short team history. So people who were alive for the entire existence of this organization and watched this entire thing can attest to that this team is probably sitting at 1-5, not the best team in team history. Again, 6 games they've won one time. They've looked flat, toothless. They look like they have no fight. And the culture change needs to happen, apparently, to the coach right now in week 6. It's not going to happen. Doug Peterson needs to go in the doghouse. I think that's a big issue there with the coaching staff, especially when the defense looks this bad. You shout out the entire defensive coaching staff over the offseason. It still looks piss poor. This now goes on your plate. This now goes on your shoulders. Shad Khan goes in there for signing Gabe Davis and setting the expectation so high for the Jacksonville Jaguars fans, because I understand what it means for to be a fan of a team and an owner come out and set expectations for an offseason or for a season and be disappointed. Both those guys deserve to go and stay in the doghouse until the end of the season or until Doug Peterson gets fired.
I have one more.
Okay.
I'm going to list a couple names to you, and you're going to get one. But do you know who Bobby Hoying is?
Nope.
Do you know who Gary Morangi is?
Nope.
Okay. Do you know who Archie Manning is?
Oh, I know that one.
Okay. This is the list of players that averaged less than 3.37 yards per dropback in an NFL season. Those 3 guys and Deshaun Watson.
Hey, dude, he's pretty good.
Dude, so I'm not putting Deshaun Watson in the doghouse. You put him there in last week. I'm putting the Cleveland Browns owner. So now we got the highest paid quarterback in the league, Dak Prescott. Highest paid player in the league, correct?
Yep, correct.
I know. I just wanted to hear you say it.
Oh, fuck you.
Dak is in the doghouse. Antonio Pierce is in the doghouse. Mayo's in the doghouse, right?
Yep.
And the owner of the Browns is in the doghouse, because there's no fucking way that the coaching staff of the Browns is like, yep, let's keep rolling Deshaun Watson out there.
Nope, no shot. It's them. Nope.
There used to be an argument a couple years. I remember it was going around sports talk radio. The Cowboys' offensive line was so good. The argument was, could an average person get a 3-yard gain behind that offensive line? And if you gave him 3 handoffs, could he get 3 yards? That's how good the offensive line is. I think the average person could play quarterback better than Deshaun Watson right now. I think the Browns should call up Jamarcus Russell and let him play. Could Trey Lance be worse than this? Could he really? And he's cheap. Just trade for him. It can't be. It could not be any worse than this shit. The dude, it's lackluster. He doesn't want to be out there. He makes all his money. You're not going to be able to do anything about it. Just sit his ass on the bench and move on with life.
Yep.
You got Jameis Winston going viral every week because he seems like a great, loving guy. Sure, he's going to throw 30 interceptions, but he's going to throw 30 touchdowns. Isn't that exciting?
Yep.
And then
30 for 30, baby.
And then the way they decide to remedy it is like, oh, well, let's just get rid of Amari Cooper. That'll make us better.
The thing with Amari too is he gives up on teams and plays, and he gives up on that stuff too. So they're like, oh, Amari's the problem. It's like, I don't know if you're actually watching these games. And now the thing is you're wasting the prime of all of these players, right? Great players, right? You have Denzel Ward, you have Greg Newsome, you have JOK, you have Myles Garrett, you have good defensive core guys. and you're wasting their careers away because you refuse to do anything right now about Deshaun Watson. Just bench him. I know you can't do anything financially with him. I know that. $172 million for the next 2 years. I get it. For next 2 years after this season. Okay. $72 million. $72 million for the next 2 years after this season. I get it. I understand. But just sit him down. Just sit him down. And I know it's not on Kevin Stefanski. He's a great coach, and we know he's a good coach. This isn't on him. I'm totally on board with you on this one, because it's definitely not the coaching staff. No, I don't think anyone really wants him out here at this point. If you don't have anything else to add for our doghouse, we're going to go ahead and move on.